She told me I was too sensitive, said it with that half laugh, the one she used when she wanted to disarm me without actually answering the question. It was a Tuesday night. Casual dinner. Candle flickering between us like it didn't know it was about to witness the slow collapse of a marriage. I had asked a simple question, or at least it should have been simple. Did you end up going out with Madison after the meeting? I said it lightly, without accusation. Just a breadcrumb from earlier in the week. She had mentioned plans. She froze for half a second, her fork hovering just above the risotto, before setting it down and letting out a breathy chuckle. God, you always do this. Do what? I asked. She rolled her eyes. Interrogate me. You read into everything. Madison? Seriously? I didn't press her. Not then. I just nodded, took another bite, and let it slide. But the room didn't feel the same after that. Something shifted in her tone, her posture, like she was waiting for me to fight, to explode. But I didn't. That wasn't my style. The truth? I was sensitive, but not in the way she meant. I noticed things. The tiny changes. The patterns that broke. I saw when she started locking her phone, turning it face down. I heard the pause in her voice before she said she loved me. The quiet hesitation before she kissed me goodnight. I didn't accuse her. I asked questions. That's all I ever did. But she called it insecurity. The next morning, I found an earring on the passenger seat of her car. Not hers. A simple stud, gold with a small pearl. Too dainty for her style. She didn't notice me noticing. She was in a rush. Late for another strategy meeting. So I sat on it. Kept quiet. Just watched. I remember once reading a quote. A man doesn't go looking for the truth unless he's ready to lose everything. I wasn't ready. But I couldn't stop the questions either. It wasn't about jealousy. It was about feeling invisible in my own home. The way her phone lit up at midnight, and she'd turn it over without a word. The way she used to leave the bathroom door open when she brushed her teeth, and now she closed it, even for that. That's what killed me. Not the idea of another man, but the slow, quiet evacuation of intimacy. Like she was pulling the curtains closed on us, one by one. And every time I tried to talk about it, she'd weaponize my calmness against me. You're always overthinking, she said one night, wiping off her makeup while I stood in the doorway. You make everything into a drama. I leaned against the frame, watching her reflection. You don't think it's weird that you suddenly have a passcode on your phone? She didn't look at me. It's 2025. Everyone has a passcode. Not you. Not until last month. She clicked the compact shut. God, do you hear yourself? This is exactly what I mean. You act like I'm on trial every time you feel weird about something. I'm not accusing you. I'm just sensitive, she snapped. Too sensitive. There it was again. That word. That dismissal. That night, I laid awake while she slept beside me. Her back to me, like always now. And I thought about how many times she had used that word to shut me down. Sensitive. Like caring was weakness. Like paying attention was a crime. The final straw came 3 days later. I got a call from her best friend, Becca. We weren't close, but we shared enough inside jokes to laugh at the same things during game nights. I liked her. Trusted her, even. She sounded strange on the phone. Nervous. Like she had dialed my number 3 times before actually hitting call. Hey, she said. This is awkward. But I think you deserve to know something. My heart thudded. Okay. It's about last Friday, she continued. When Anna said she was at my place. I froze. Yeah? She wasn't. Becca's voice cracked slightly. I covered for her. She asked me to. I didn't ask why. I figured it was something private. But I saw her Sunday, and she looked different. I couldn't shake the feeling. My mouth was dry. Where was she? A long pause. She was at a cabin with someone. I don't know who. I just know it wasn't you. I saw photos on her iPad. She didn't know they were synced to the cloud. I saw her deleting them. There was no anger in her voice. Just guilt. Heavy, suffocating guilt. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't want to get involved. But I can't let you sit in the dark like this. You're a good man, and she's been different for a while. I think you've known that. I didn't speak. Couldn't. My hands were shaking. She said you'd overreact, Becca whispered. That you'd make it weird. But I knew that wasn't fair. I wanted to cry, or scream, or punch a wall. But all I said was, thank you. When I hung up, I sat there in the garage, the engine off, silence thick around me. I didn't move. I didn't feel. And for the first time, I let the truth land in my chest like a weight that had always been there. I just never admitted how heavy it was. She called me sensitive. But it wasn't sensitivity. It was instinct. And it had just been proven right. All I had to do now was listen to it. I didn't say a word that night. Not to her. Not even to myself. The silence wasn't strategy, it was survival. I slept in the guest room, or pretended to. Truth is, I didn't sleep at all. I just stared at the ceiling, trying to make peace with the fact that my marriage was no longer mine. That somewhere between late work meetings and locked phones, the version of her I loved had vanished. The next morning, I watched her pour coffee like nothing was wrong. Hair pinned up, blouse tucked neatly, the faint scent of citrus perfume trailing behind her as she moved. I almost admired it. Her ability to compartmentalize, to look me in the eye and ask if I wanted eggs. I said no. I was still thinking about Becca, about the way her voice cracked when she said, "I saw the photos." I didn't ask for proof. I didn't need it. Becca wasn't the type to stir the pot. If anything, she'd been too quiet for too long. Her guilt wasn't theatrical. It was quiet, raw, real. And that was what made it hit harder than any exposed text message or anonymous tip. I spent the rest of the day in a kind of trance. Answered work emails, watered the plants, sat in the backyard, and stared at the fence like it held answers. She texted me around 4. "Anna, hey, I'm going to Becca's tonight for a wine night. You okay with leftovers for dinner?" I stared at the screen for a long time before typing anything. Me? Sure. Say hi to Becca for me. It was bait. I needed to know what she'd say. No reply. Just the bubbles, then nothing. I could almost hear her heartbeat through the text. 5 minutes later, Becca called me. She just messaged me, asked if she could stop by later. I said no. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Thank you." "She's lying again," she said softly. "What are you going to do?" That question haunted me. What was I going to do? Walk out? Blow up? Pretend I didn't know? I didn't want revenge. Not really. I just wanted the truth. Not from her lips. I didn't trust those anymore. I wanted it told without her knowing. Unfiltered. Becca hesitated on the phone, and then she said something that changed everything. "You should talk to Naomi." I blinked. Naomi. Her colleague. They've been close lately. Too close. And I'm pretty sure she knows more than she lets on. I hadn't thought of Naomi. Sweet, soft-spoken Naomi who always looked uncomfortable when I showed up at office parties. Who once apologized to me in the hallway for something I didn't understand at the time. I called her that night. At first, she didn't answer. Then she texted, "Naomi, sorry, I'm in the middle of something. Everything okay?" Me. "I just need 5 minutes of your time. I'm not here to cause trouble. I need to understand." She called back. Her voice was cautious, nervous. I didn't waste time. Did Anna spend the weekend with someone else at a cabin? The silence was immediate, tense, heavy. Then, finally, "I think you already know the answer." I swallowed. I need to hear it from someone who was there, or someone who saw it firsthand, not through guesswork or instinct. I need something real. Naomi sighed. "I wasn't there." But yes, she lied. And no, it wasn't the first time. I don't know who the guy is. I never saw his face. But they've been seeing each other for a while. "How long?" I asked, my voice quieter than I meant it to be. "For months. Maybe more." For months. That number didn't shock me. It confirmed something I'd felt for weeks, that I'd lost her long before I knew it. "I'm sorry," Naomi said. "She made me promise not to get involved. But you deserve to know. You've always treated her so well. It didn't feel right anymore." I thanked her, not out of formality, but with genuine gratitude. Because in that moment, Naomi gave me something my wife no longer could, the truth. When Anna came home later that night, she smelled like wine and cinnamon gum. I was on the couch, pretending to scroll through the news. She walked in like she hadn't just shattered my life with every quiet betrayal. "Wine night was good," she said. "Becca's dog is getting fat." I smiled faintly. "Funny. She said she didn't see you tonight." The silence that followed was long and terrifying. She didn't ask what I meant. She didn't deny it. She just stared at me like a deer in headlights, trying to calculate how much I knew. "I ran into Naomi too," I said. She confirmed it. "The cabin. The man." Still, she said nothing. I stood, walked toward the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water with hands that didn't tremble anymore. When I turned, her eyes were glassy. Not with remorse, fear. "You've been spying on me?" she finally asked. "No," I said. "I've been listening. To everyone but you." I left her there in the living room, standing among all the lies she thought would never surface. And for the first time in months, I felt clear. Not angry. Not broken. Just clear. She had told me I was too sensitive. But all I ever wanted was the truth. And tonight, I finally got it. She didn't chase me down the hallway. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Didn't fall apart. She just stood there, a woman cornered by her own silence, finally out of alibis. And I think that hurt more than anything else. Because part of me, the part that still remembered the way she used to fall asleep with her head on my chest, wanted her to fight for us. To confess. To say she'd messed up and didn't know how to stop. But she didn't. She just stood there and let the moment pass like it didn't mean anything. I packed a bag the next morning. Quietly. Methodically. Just 2 days' worth of clothes. A notebook. My grandfather's watch. The things that reminded me I still existed outside of her orbit. She watched from the kitchen. Still no apology. Still no truth from her mouth. I think that's what killed the last thread between us. It wasn't the betrayal. It was her refusal to own it. "Where are you going?" she finally asked. "Somewhere I can breathe." She followed me to the door. "So that's it. You're walking out?" I paused, hand on the knob. "No. I'm walking away. There's a difference. One is a tantrum. The other is a choice." I didn't slam the door. I didn't make a scene. I just left. And for the first time in a long time, the air outside didn't feel so heavy. That night, I stayed at a hotel. Nothing fancy. Just 4 walls and silence. I left my phone on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling for hours. No tears. Just clarity. The kind that only shows up once you've stopped begging for answers that were never going to come. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A message from Becca. Just one sentence. "You should see this." She'd forwarded a screenshot from Naomi. A photo from that weekend. Anna, my wife, smiling in front of a fire pit, legs tucked under her, holding a mug in one hand, and his hand resting on her knee. The side of his face was barely visible, but the intimacy wasn't. What struck me most wasn't the closeness. It was her expression. Relaxed. Joyful. Like that was home. Becca followed it with another message. "I didn't want to hurt you, but I also didn't want to protect someone who stopped deserving it." I stared at the photo for a long time. Not because it shocked me, but because it didn't. It was just confirmation. Like the final page of a book you already knew the ending to. Later that afternoon, I went back to the house. Not to fight. Not to fix anything. Just to finish what needed finishing. She was in the living room, curled up with her laptop, pretending like she still lived in a world where the truth hadn't cracked open between us. I sat across from her. Calm. Composed. Done. I saw the photo, I said. She didn't look up. I figured. "You want to explain?" She closed the laptop slowly. "What's the point?" There it was. The final lie. Not a spoken one, a withheld one. The kind that says you're not worth the truth. "I just want to know when you stopped loving me," I said quietly. She looked up then, tears forming but still not falling. "I don't know," she whispered. "I think I just got lost." I nodded. "And you let me look for you. Alone." I stood, walked to the table, and placed a folder in front of her. Inside, divorce papers. Already reviewed, already clean. No lawyers. No drama. I said, "I'm not here to punish you. I'm just done pretending this is still real." Her lips trembled. "Can we talk about it?" I shook my head. "You had months to talk. I spent those months listening. But you weren't saying anything worth hearing." She opened the folder slowly, eyes scanning, breath shaking. And then she asked the question that lingered for days in my head. Was I really that bad? I looked at her, the woman I had built dreams with, memories with, a whole life with. And I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I said, "You weren't honest." That's worse. Then I walked out. No bags this time. Just freedom. Becca met me outside. She'd come to pick up the keys I left her. She was going to help sell the house. She didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me like she wasn't sure if she should hug me or give me space. So I spoke. "You know what hurts most?" She shook her head. "It's not that she lied," I said. "It's that I still wanted to believe her, even after I knew the truth." Becca nodded. "You loved her." "Yeah," I said. "I did." We stood in silence for a moment. The kind of silence that says everything words can't. And then I handed her the keys, walked to my car, and drove. No destination. No plan. Just motion. She said I was too sensitive. Maybe I was. But if caring, noticing, trusting, asking, that makes me sensitive, then I'd rather be sensitive than silent. Because silence is where the betrayal grows. And I'm done watering lies. Now, I grow something else. A life that doesn't ask me to apologize for feeling everything too deeply. A life that begins after her truth finally ended mine.